Hello friends, I'm pleased to welcome you to this brief overview of the two-day practical workshop on COVID-5 which is being organized by ISACA Bangalore chapter on 17th and 18th February 2017. I'm C. Abdul Rafiq, the workshop leader. I have been a past member of the COVID-5 task force and a user of COBIT since the last 20 years and also a COBIT evangelist. Let me give you a quick overview of what are the key things we wish to accomplish in this workshop. We'll first understand the perspective of the various COBIT publications, learn how to navigate, select and customize COBIT contents as per requirements. You should be able to supplement your domain knowledge with the COBIT knowledge repository so that you can enhance your COBIT skills. You will also learn how to automate and develop templates for COBIT contents so that you can use the COBIT contents as required very easily and very quickly. COBIT, as you know, has been evolving since the last 20 years. It has evolved from a suite of control objectives to a suite of publications covering all key aspects of governance and management of enterprise IT. COBIT is built on 5 principles, 7 enablers and 4 dimensions. In this brief presentation, I'll quickly cover what are the 5 principles. In the workshop, we'll be getting into the details of the 7 enablers and how the 4 dimensions will impact how enterprises use IT. Why do enterprises implement IT? This slide gives you a quick overview of the different purposes from which COBIT could be used. Enterprise may use COBIT for implementing and enhancing corporate governance, or for improving governance, or for implementing governance of enterprise IT, or from the perspective of GRC, governance, risk and compliance. COBIT can also be used for implementing internal financial controls or enhancing or improving internal controls. It can also be used at a macro level at any level or aspect of IT management. In this workshop, I intend to provide the distilled experience of more than 20 years and give you the filtered content so that it's ready for use. What you learn is practical, actionable insights which you can use from the day you attend the workshop. What is COBIT all about? This gives you different dimensions of perspective of COBIT. COBIT, as you know, is a globally accepted expertise. It is a consensus of experts. It is useful for effective enterprise decision making. COBIT can help you to maximize trust and value in the information technology because of the collection of best practices and the systematic approach it provides. COBIT can help you simplify complex standards. COBIT is an umbrella framework using which you can implement and integrate any framework. And ultimately, you know, COBIT is a framework for governance and management of information and related technology. The value of COBIT is in what you can do with effective implementation. In this workshop, we'll be focusing on how you can learn what is COBIT and quickly implement it as required. The focus of the workshop is not to give you fish, but to teach you how to fish. We know enterprises and professionals need to demonstrate value in this knowledge era. And in this digital age, where every professional is supposed to be a knowledge worker, COBIT empowers professionals to upgrade the skill sets by adding value. The best practices of COBIT, which is the distilled experience of experts from all over the world, will help you to add value in any area of enterprise or any area of work. Let's have a quick walkthrough of the COBIT 5 principles. COBIT can be used for adding value and it can be used personally or professionally. The first principle is meeting stakeholder needs. In any COBIT implementation, it's very important to understand what is the primary objective of implementing COBIT. Why do the stakeholders need to implement COBIT? Based on this implementation, you will be able to identify and ensure that you are able to customize COBIT as per the stakeholder requirements to add value. These are some of the aspects you need to look at. Each stakeholder will have different perspectives. The second principle is covering enterprise end to end. The focus is on value creation through implementing governance. COBIT has a lot of content. So it's important that you should be able to drill down and go down and navigate to the specific content so that you can use as required. It's not the information, but the knowledge and the thought process of COBIT which is going to be useful for you for value addition. It's not about having meetings, but providing meaning through this implementation. When you're implementing COBIT, it's important to understand what are the pain points of the enterprise and ensure that you're able to address the pain points by using the knowledge repository of COBIT. COBIT is an umbrella framework. It has all the knowledge which is required at a macro level, and you can integrate any other framework as required. So the value of COBIT is not in knowing but in the doing, and this is what we will do in the workshop. We'll learn by applying the knowledge of COBIT so that it becomes a skill which you can use in our area of work. The third principle of COBIT is applying a single integrated framework. COBIT, as I said, is a macro framework, as an umbrella framework under which you can integrate any other framework. Quite often when COBIT is used, or for any enterprise, any framework is used, there are two dimensions. One, you are looking at in terms of mitigating the risk, or second, to add value. There are different frameworks, different standards, different stakeholders who look at IT deployment from different perspectives. Could be from the perspective of risk or for value. So COBIT is one framework which integrates both the risk and the value perspective. In any deployment of COBIT, fundamentally I said it's about stakeholder needs. You need to understand what is the value you can bring to the table by implementing COBIT. There are plethora of standards which are available, which could be focusing on many areas or many dimensions. It's very important that you adopt a standard or a structured approach for implementing any new framework. COBIT gives you not only the best practices but also a structured process or a systematic approach for implementing so that you can achieve the objectives. The fourth principle is enabling a holistic approach. COBIT has 7 enablers. There are various frameworks which gives you content from different perspectives. The 7 enablers of COBIT can be used in any enterprise of any type and provide value. We will be getting into the details of each of the enablers. What is important when you're using COBIT is to have the clear vision of what you want to accomplish. So the fifth principle is separating governance from management. In the knowledge and digital age where COBIT has become a critical component for deriving value, it's important to know that management has to be distinct from governance. Governance is what is done by the senior management, by the board, to ensure that they provide direction and clear policy on how IT is going to be used for achieving the business objectives. In this workshop, we'll be learning by practicing, and these are some sample case studies which we'll be discussing in groups in the workshop. We'll look at benchmarking security policy and procedures, how to evaluate the risk of a e-commerce portal. We'll also look at digital payments, what is the technology framework architecture, and how can you review and enhance security. We'll also look at the best practices which can be adopted for the model of outsourcing cloud services. We'll also look at building resilience for digital enterprises, how you can actually use the best practices in COBIT to build resilience. And the latest framework which has been adopted by ISACA, which has been owned by ISACA as CMI, we'll look at how we can integrate the CMI practices with the COBIT practices. And we'll also look at the traditional way of using COBIT for providing assurance, and we'll take up example of using it for application software. We'll also use it for the purpose of evaluating the IFC controls. Fundamentally, this workshop is all about practice, practice, and practice. So we'll identify what is required, we'll prioritize the requirements, customize the COBIT content, organize this so that it can be effectively deployed and implemented, and ultimately the object is to realize value. When you do a COBIT implementation, it's important that the stakeholders should be able to recognize value from this implementation. This gives you a summary of the 5 principles of COBIT. The 5 principles are given in one slide here: meeting the stakeholder needs, covering the enterprise end to end, applying a single integrated framework, and enabling the holistic approach using the 7 enablers, and segregating or separating governance from management. As I said, there are a plethora of publications and there are a plethora of frameworks and standards. It's important to identify what is most important or critical for the enterprise and what are the key requirements of the stakeholders. Based on this, you should be able to adopt a standard approach so that you can realize value. And COBIT gives you not only the collection of best practices but also gives you a systematic approach for realizing value from COBIT. COBIT, as you know, is the only business framework for the governance and management of enterprise IT. It can definitely change the world, your world, in fact, from both the enterprise and the personal perspective. And COBIT, as you know, is a global framework which has been used by enterprises across the world. So I invite you to attend this 2-day workshop to explore the power of COBIT and empower yourself. Thank you very much. Look forward to your participation in the workshop and having a great learning experience. Thank you. Bye.